So in this video, I want to go over how the system outweighs individual. Um, and in this video, I mean, my explanation may not be super clear because it's still something I'm trying to find out how to explain clearly, but I think I did a relatively good job, so I'm gonna go for it anyway. And so basically, life is all about inputs and outputs, and these are known as consequences, usually, and in a lot of spiritual world, it's known as karma, right? And just like how you craft your life through your daily decisions, your life is also crafted by decisions of others around you, especially in a cultural and societal sense, right? And for example, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, chances are you would have a dysfunctional childhood. And if you went to a school with a poor educational environment, then you may have had poor education. And on the opposite, if you had a great family dynamic, you may have had a great childhood. And if you had a great school, you may have had a great education. And the main thing, though, is that on average, certain things, well, what I'm trying to say is, for instance, with students, on average, if students tend to do well, then the environment is good, basically. Um, and that's like the main thing with the systems and whatnot. And when I say systems in a social sense, it typically is talking about like environments and culture and society in general, right? And so what it's important to understand is that a system could be bad and a system can be good. And in a bad system, people can do well, but that's not because the system is good enough, but rather it's because in spite of the bad system, they did well. And I think this is important to understand when recognizing frameworks and systems, because the average person will not overcome average results, right? And if you want society more healthy people, you need a society that produces more healthy people. The systems within the society, like culture and the laws and whatnot, and systems are basically things that essentially dictate the lives of others, right? They have to be essentially conducive to a healthy environment so that the people can be healthy, right? And And that means that if we don't like the results of the current environment, if we don't like the current society, we don't like necessarily the current people within the society, then we would have to build something else. And why would we have to build something else? That's because systems are cyclical in nature, right? They produce what they produce on average and hardly anything else because that's what they're made for. That's what they're good for. A system is supposed to repeat. It's You're supposed to repeat results. If your dryer doesn't dry, then it's a bad dryer, right? So it's supposed to repeat the same results, right? And so if you notice the average person's life is terrible, it's going down the drain essentially, then you need to make a system that caters more to the average so that on average people do better, basically. I think this is a important concept to understand because um, a lot of what I'm talking about relates to like how inside society affects your life and your spiritual journey and your manifestations and all these things, how essentially what's around you affects the individual. And even though you have a chance of succeeding in spite of what your environment may be, most people just won't be able to succeed if the environment or the system on average doesn't necessarily produce successful people in that way, right? And so I think that's very important moving forward, especially some of the other topics I'll talk about in my videos. There's a lot of emphasis on, you know, what's happening around you, not necessarily just what you're doing, even though there is a balance between you yourself and the people around you and what's going on around you, the culture around you. You have to have a good grasp on both of these things. And when you see one is faltering, you kind of have to address the issue. And so one of the issues why a lot of us are having a hard time right now is because the system that we built, which is determining a lot of our lives, is not necessarily working in our favor at the moment. And I think that's important to recognize. And so that's pretty much it for this video.